you heard the video this morning talking about narcissists and lies, a big part of lies is overt, of like, let me lie to your face, and then covert, let me just keep something back. So today we want to talk about these aspects of lies of omission, of how narcissists uses lies to be able to hide, to be able to deceive, and to be able to just pull back just enough information to be able to get by. Now, whether this is on a certain aspect of like, let me hold this back so I don't feel bad, so I don't get caught, so I don't get in trouble, so I don't have shame or guilt or look bad or whatever it might be, there's always this aspect of pulling back. Maybe you have this aspect of like, you feel like he always left something out of the conversation. Like there's like a gap in the time frame. There's like something that happened. There's like a difference. There's even an energy or a focus that like, wait a second, something seems wrong. Maybe there's the aspect that you felt like your gut told you something. Like, I just don't feel right. Something about this seems off. Today we're going to talk about lies of omission, some of the tactics and excuses, and then how to be able to solve it. Like what to be able to look for and to be able to process going through. So lies, we see this a lot, right? Narcissists love to lie. I love to lie because I wanted to be able to get away with what I wanted to get away with. I wanted to be able to be a person that I thought I was, even though I wasn't demonstrating that or acting or showing that on a consistent basis. So you have narcissists out there that are going to lie, to cheat, to steal, to deceive, to do anything they can to avoid the truth. They're going to do anything they can to be able to run from this truth and anything to avoid the guilt and the shame that comes from it, the shame that it causes. Now, sometimes people are like, narcissists don't have guilt, they don't have shame. They do, but it's very small. It's very microscopic because they have to be able to get away from it as fast as possible. It's like you're boiling a pot of water on the stove and you go and you accidentally stick your hand in it as you're going to grab the spoon and you jerk your hand back out. It's because it hurt, right? It's the same concept that a narcissist feels when they're engaging with guilt and shame. It hurts. I got to get away from it. I got to run from it as fast as I can because I can't engage with the truth because of what it reveals about myself. So as a result, a narcissist hides from lies and trying to find their comfort, their peace, or whatever. But they hide from the lies to be able to avoid accountability, to be able to avoid responsibility. A narcissist wants all the power in the relationship, but no responsibility for the things that they're doing. So they put everything on you. It is your fault. It is because of you, all these things, but it is not me. It is not my fault. This is something that I would always try to do. I'd always try to put the blame on the other person, not on me. I was perfect. I was infallible. I didn't have anything wrong with me. Like that was the thought. That was the story I was playing in my head. Then as a result, I would put out lie after lie after lie. When we talk about this idea of omission, is this aspect where we're holding back a part of the truth deliberately. It typically won't sound that way because they'll say, oh, I forgot. I forgot I went to the grocery store and I cheated on you. I forgot to say that. But it's holding back that piece of truth deliberately in an effort to control the situation, the story, the other person. This might be the aspect of telling half-truths. Telling only part of the story, just a fraction of it. I went and I did this, that's true. But I didn't tell what else I did. I didn't tell who I called on the way. I didn't tell who I met up with. I didn't tell, and it's always this piece leaving out. You see, you have to understand, in order for a person to lie and lie effectively, it has to be as close to the truth as possible. And so the lie of omission can be extremely harmful and deadly because it's so hard to be able to determine what is actually going on. Because all you see is a piece of it. You see 95% of truth and you see 5% that's not truth, but you don't know that because it's left out of the story. It's left out of the information that they're giving you and you're left wondering, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. But something feels off. Leaving out those small little details. This is a way to be able to construct a false narrative of this is what happened. You don't realize, but this is what actually happened. Etc., etc. Like building a false narrative, keeping you in the dark so that you have no clue what's actually going on. Sometimes I had a client that was talking to me of being like, he couldn't have been cheating on me because I know his schedule. Like, it's exactly this way every single time. And I'm like, honestly, from a narcissist, from a toxic standpoint, that's one of the best things that they can give you. Because then you're used to that. You're sedated to the aspect that they're always going to text you at 7 a.m. when they arrive at the office. Well, they might not be at the office. They're just texting you that to keep the regular rhythm going so you don't think that anything is wrong. I had a client where they were like, but I know he's always busy because this is when he's in court. He's communicating when he's in court, and it's this section of time. Until she found out that he wasn't even in court. That he wasn't even doing his job during those certain days because he was with someone else. He just told her a different story. But one that was believable because he constructed it so many times and then left the details out. Narcissists will do this to keep you in the dark and keep control over you. To control you, to control the perspective. So you have to understand, a lot of times we talk about this aspect of controlling you, and it's actually a derivative of them controlling their mask. Like, they want to look a certain way. I wanted to look good, so I controlled the people who didn't think I looked good. I wanted to look good, so I made sure I controlled the people so they understood I was a good person. There's this aspect that the narcissist is so in tune, so in love with the mask, not themselves, so in love with the mask that they're willing to control and manipulate anyone around to keep that image, to keep that perspective, to keep what they want in that moment. The lies happen more than what you'd want to believe. So we dive into some of the excuses, some of the tactics. I mentioned one earlier, I forgot to tell you. Like, didn't I say that? And then we start to wonder, like, wait a second, like, maybe they did forget. Well, they normally forget only the pieces that they don't want to tell you. It's not that they forgot to go to the store or they forgot to do, X, Y, and Z. It's not these little things. They forgot to do the stuff that was going to be holding them accountable. They forgot to be able to communicate the stuff that was actually going to hurt the relationship or hurt their image. Because they leave out the bad. Sometimes you'll see this in two opposite ways. Sometimes you'll see it in very detailed responses. Well, I went to this place and I got this and I did this and then I got in my car and then I drove to the next place. And sometimes you'll see like very detailed. And it's kind of like, why is it so detailed? Well, sometimes it's because they're trying to confabulate a story that's not true. They're trying to make up a section of it. You might see maybe it's vague and it's detailed and it's vague and you're like, why is it so detailed there? Well, because sometimes that's to construct a more believable reality about what they just experienced, even though it's a complete lie. It's a complete fabrication. And sometimes it can be the opposite and it can be completely vague, where they're not communicating at all. So you have to ask, well, where did you go? What did you do? And then you get to one of the phrases that narcissists will love to use. Ask me anything. I'll be honest. Look, I have nothing to hide. Just ask me anything. If you have someone who says they have nothing to hide and just ask you anything, that should be a red flag for you. Now, you might be wondering why. Because from a narcissist perspective, when a narcissist says, ask me anything, it's like laying the groundwork for great manipulation. Okay, and the reason why I say this is because when I tell you, hey, ask me anything, and then you ask about, did you go to the store? Did you do this? Then I know in that moment how much you actually know. When a narcissist says, ask me anything, it starts to lay the groundwork of like, wait a second, they're asking about this, so I can give this piece of information up, and I can still hide everything else. When the narcissist says, ask me anything, you start to talk to them about a certain situation, they start to realize this is all they know. So then I can control the outcome. I can control what I tell them. I can control and construct the false narrative that I need to have. I can pivot it. You see this moment sometimes where they'll pause, they'll think, they'll kind of wonder for a second, trying to figure out the best story to be able to tell you because they know this is what they know. Now I can twist it a different way. Now I can change up the perspective so that I'm not the one in trouble. So I'm not the one responsible. And so when they say, ask me anything, be really careful because that's a great way for them to manipulate you. And you start to feel and you start to wonder, something is just off. Like you're not sure how to be able to describe it, how to be able to put it into words. Like it seems hard to even tell other people because it's not like you see a blatant lie. It's just like something seems off. It feels wrong. Like the story seems accurate, but it just seems off. Like you're unsure, you're uneasy. And it's hard to be able to sense like what is wrong. You just know this feels off. Like the energy is different. Like something doesn't match up. Like you just have this gut feeling. And a lot of times those gut feelings typically go back to some reason that something's happening in the relationship. And as a result, it starts to destroy the trust. As it actually comes out, you start to see like, wait a second, this whole thing is destroyed. You got to the place where you're walking on eggshells, and now you finally realize, now I know why it's on eggshells because of the fact of the lies that this person's been telling. You have a narcissist that will use omission to be able to hold back so much information. Maybe you're at the place today and you're like, I don't know if they're changing. I don't know if they're trying. I don't know. They say they're doing this thing, but they're not. Like, I don't really know. So let's talk about this. Maybe you have someone that you've been with and the trust has been completely broken. Like completely broken. And you're like, I don't know where to start. If you guys are still together, then you need to be at a place where there's full access. You have full access to the information that you need to have access to in order to rebuild that trust. If the other person is not willing to give you full access, then you need to walk away. Period. That's it. Because they shouldn't have anything to hide. You see, a narcissist will use a lot of things against you. A narcissist will say, how could you look through my phone? You found me cheating on you with 5 other people. How rude are you to be able to look through my phone? Don't you understand privacy? All this kind of stuff will come out. And you have to understand, like, it feels crazy. It feels bad in that moment because normal relationships, you shouldn't have to do that. But when you're with a toxic person, if that toxic person has broken your trust, you should have full access to everything if they actually want to build trust. If they don't want to give you full access, and I'm not talking about ask me anything or just let me know and I'll show you my phone or you can have access whenever you want. No, it's like you actually have access and you can look at stuff whenever you want. And then when you see stuff like this person is still cheating, communicating with other people, like being dishonest, leave. Stop giving another chance to a person who doesn't care about you. Maybe you're in the relationship and the trust hasn't been broken, but you feel like something's off. You know, with this, like your guard's up and you're just kind of like, I'm not sure. This is part where you need to take a close look at the relationship. What's being demonstrated? What's being shown on a day-to-day basis? If you're struggling to start to see some of this, or you're wondering, wait a second, is this something that's narcissistic? Is this something that's abusive? Like, reach out for help. You can go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones. Would love to interact with you. Would love to be a part of your healing journey to help you continue to move forward into growing, healing, changing, and developing into the person you are called to be.